Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever. We are continuing the match between Petric and Espiranto. Score stands at 2-1 to Petric. He took a 2-0 lead, and Espiranto took game 3 on good lands, keeping him in the series. It is best of 5, so we will see who can reach 3 games first. And Petric's still with the upper hand with a 1-game lead. And now we are on the Neuroxis map generator, and this is a 20 by 20 map generated on the spot. So let's see, we got UEF. Maybe not the choice I would expect for such a map, but actually I think earlier on in the previous video we saw that I made the point that Espiranto did not fully understand the faction selecting process, so perhaps he didn't really need to end up with UEF, but here we are. He has UEF. Petric has Cybran, which is a completely reasonable choice on this map. So the first time these players will actually see everything in the map would be once they gate in. Before that they can see the map preview, and they can sort of see vaguely what the terrain is like, what kind of setup it is. Now on this map it's actually a bit tricky right now to find the ramp. So there's a ramp here. Obviously you can see there's a lot of plateaus, a lot of cliffs basically, and you need to be very careful. You can see there's a lot of cliffs there that are blocking movement, so we need to find the ramps and see where can units actually travel. Here for example, there's no path up here to this area from the left side. Now this is important. There's also no path through here for land units. So that's quite an important detail. It needs to be kept in mind. Both players going second air, of course. We're going to see air battles go on. In the opening, it doesn't look like land units can actually get across to the opponent's side. So we're going to see a lot of air. We're going to see transports very quickly. You can see already Espiranto with a lot of assistance on his air factory. You can also see how he's doing it. One engineer assists the factory. The rest of the engineers assist this engineer. This is the best way to assist an air factory, or really any factory. If you get all the engineers to assist, it'll take much longer. You see how that guy started assisting one of the engies. He immediately begins helping the factory. Otherwise, he would have to walk in, find his spot directly around the edge of the factory. So that's why, that's quite a nice, well, it's a very important detail that people should become aware of in the one of those small factors that can just make the game, it improves the game a little bit, improves your efficiency, but also just makes it a little easier to play the game as well, you know, which is very valuable. Here comes a bomber. It looks like it's going to find this engineer. It looks to be tracking him, and that's a drop and a kill, and 3 inties fly directly past the bomber going after an intie there, and this intie finds the bomber now. Petric looks to be losing air here as well, and the bomber gets another drop. Will this engineer automatically dodge? Oh, he almost did. That's what I call an auto dodge, where an engineer just follows its normal path with no micro, and sometimes, you know, he stops walking to build something and dodges. Sometimes he starts walking after finishing something and dodges. Almost happened there, but not quite. The bomber gets a second kill before going down. Bomber from Petric narrowly escapes an intie, as Espiranto has had a superior opening at the moment. He's actually immediately making a second transport, which I quite like. The only problem is going to be ending up with no build power in the base. That could be an issue, or rather it will be an issue. Over here we have an edge build factory, so it looks like there's no path, there's no ramp up to this area. So edge building a factory, a very good idea. Petric, meanwhile, somehow manages to escape with his transport, so that's quite good, and also looks to have won air again. Wow, a lot of veterancy on these guys. Let me catch this. 3 kills, 200 mass killed. And is that a misplaced drop there? That might be. I think this NG was supposed to be... Oh no, he's not going to be able to edge build down here. He would actually... Yeah, see, the problem is to try and build up or down a plateau, you have to be able to get rid of the reclaim. So he placed a factory there and he's like, okay, well, I can't... The engineer can't reach the reclaim, even though it can build the factory. If there was no reclaim, it could build. So he could come over here and build a factory, as there's no reclaim blocking the path. That bomber that dodged an Inti earlier on finds a nice kill. And if he could find these two as well, that would be absolutely brutal. As the transport is also going down, please. Oh, I think, look, the engineers on board have taken some shots. And now the transport does go down. Extremely good kill. And there's this NG. It's very difficult to see how it survives. The bomber needs to be protected. The Intis slightly out of position, but the NG stops dodging prematurely, and the bomber does get shot down. So that's that could have been avoided there. The engineer just needed to keep dodging for a little bit longer. Now, of course, there's quite a lot going on elsewhere. Down here we have a proxy from Espiranto on the low ground. So critically, he actually has access to through this ramp to the left side and to this mechs here. But Esperanto, well, he lost this NG as well. And somehow there's a Salem wreck for its full reclaim value. Oh no, not its full reclaim value. Another bomber finds 2 kills back here. And Petric is just doing damage all over the place, and now killing the transport in the base, bombing 2 more NGs in the base. And the upside for Esperanto is really located entirely on this screen right here. Meanwhile, Petric has this position. Looks like he can basically squeeze a couple tanks through there. And yeah, he has this position, getting factories up. The problem here is that he's building... I mean, building this factory is fair enough. That's like protection for that expansion. Building 3 factories here, he's not really going to have anywhere to send those units except to this position through a tiny choke point. And he can't actually get to the rest of the right hand side. Petric already with T2 air, and he is making this T2 PGen now. Still with air control over Esperanto's base. Finally, Esperanto invests in an anti-air to stop this. Let me just quickly see. Yeah, all of these intis have two of them have two. No, sorry, one of them has 2 vet levels. One of them has 3 vet levels. That's ridiculous for an inti, actually. And here comes a drop directly into Petric's base. As the PGen is almost finished, there's 6 Lobos landing. And there's no energy storage at this point. There is a reclaim order. And the PGen under attack immediately. It goes down in 1 volley. Lobos have some very impressive damage. Another shell hits. Lobos fire pretty slowly. Maybe, no, they must be the slowest firing of all the T1 artillery, but they do have quite nice damage. And yeah, that artillery drop was extremely effective. A small investment takes out the T2 PGen, just slows the T2 PGen by a long way, and you know, causes this mass stall. He has to put so much more mass into, you know, a second PGen. They are expensive. 1200 mass for a T2 PGen. And now he's actually repairing it, which is a mistake. That's a bit of a waste of mass, especially seeing Cybern buildings regen. Gunship appears in this position, and there's There's an air factory here, which is unusual. Unusual to go for an air factory there, but I guess it actually makes sense. Air factory is under attack now. Denying, well, the bomber that was almost constructed here is denied, and the factory will now, well, it will take quite some time for the factory to go down, basically. But the gunship also managing to basically allow the inties to get free kills on the enemy inties, which is once again valuable, as yeah, the inties are being suicided in to try and kill the gunship, but these 4 inties now clean up the inties kind of for free. Gunship finally goes down. Factory does not, and units begin coming through this tiny ramp here. Petric building more factories. Actually, how much reclaim do we have on the map? 90,000. Okay, whoa! I didn't realize it was quite that extreme of a amount of reclaim on the map. More factories going down. Where did all these units come from? Oh no, Petric has built units and not realizing that he can't get up here. So look at all these units are like, can they actually go anywhere? I mean, they can't. This is all cliff here, so he can't go north, can't go east as there's water, and this is a cliff here, although this is a tiny little thing. And yeah, he can't go into the bottom. So these factories are actually completely useless, and all the units are completely useless unless they're dropped. I mean, T2 transports are actually required now, and there is a T2 transport, so he should probably maybe just destroy these factories, because they are, I mean, if you have to drop all the units for them to ever reach somewhere useful, it's not a great investment. More gunships arrive in this position and take out the factory very shortly, and the mexes. Oh, that's a lot of inties that have just arrived. Quite a lot of micro from Espiranto to get the tight circles with these airplanes. He certainly seemed to have a lot more, so yeah, that's a very nice win for Espiranto, and the T2 transports begin moving. Petric continues to build units out of these factories, doesn't want to recycle them, wants to just make use of them, trusts that he can keep using T2 transports to do that, but he has lost air, so it's a bit tricky now to see if that's possible to continue doing in the long term. Nice drop here. This factory will actually go down to the strikers. Also, strikers in this position, they look slightly less effective. And T2 transport does go down, but the Mantis are dropped off. We also have a T2 drop to this position. Mex is gonna go down. Transport should be sent backwards and saved if possible. There's a Janus coming. And is Petric going to realize that he's dropped this? Oh no, that's insane damage for one drop on a Janus. 552 mass killed all of the Mantis there. And will now kill the transport as well. Esperanto's air in this position, and it looks like he is making a lot of Janus. Yeah, look at that, 837 mass killed. That's a veterancy level for the Janus already. These tanks looking slightly out of position there. That's impressive traction that those tanks have. So the factory does go down here, PD goes up and kills the tanks, and there's a lot of engineers, so another factory wouldn't go astray. As the Janus coming for the base now. Oh, he turns away. Turns away, there's a lot of anti-air coming up. There's two static T1, there's a static flak coming. And yeah, Petric knows he does not have the air. He has so many units, but so many of them are in a bad position that can't really do too much. Static flak goes up. That's going to be huge. It's very, very effective versus Inti clouds. Especially Cybern. Cybern anti-air has very high damage radius, and also it's quite random, so it will just kind of spray into the air and can just pick up a lot of kills from Inti clouds. T2 land for Espinosa, and the Janus start going to work on the factories, so he's going to get rid of these factories, clean up the units afterwards. And there's so many Janus here. Look at this, 3, 6, 7 Janus. They're going to make short work of these things, especially if they can come in the right line. They can actually hit multiple factories. Okay, that's a weird one. They can hit, you know, 3 factories at once, coming at the right angle, like this guy, for example. No, never mind, he didn't drop. But yeah, this will also kill the units that are under construction inside the factory, so it's quite good damage he's getting, and he's continuing to make more Janus. That's out of 2 factories with assistance, and he has 2 factories making Intis, and he has 2 factories making bombers, 1 with assistance, so T1 bombers. So just bombers. It's all about air for Espiranto. In terms of mass, I mean, Petric is ahead. Petric just has a ton of units. Espiranto with 50 tanks, right? Under 4,000 mass invested in land. Petric with 10,000 plus, 150 Mantis. It's mainly Mantis that's been invested in. Transport here, engineer, and what's Petric gonna do here? Is he watching? Sent a move order. Is he gonna... Look at that. Look at the attention there. And now gets the reclaim. Doesn't try to build all the mexes. He's gonna get the reclaim first. That's a faster... Well, it's a better short-term move. A drop into the base. It's only Mantis though, and there's Janus everywhere and T1 bombers everywhere. Once one of those lands, these Mantis are going to disappear, but maybe he can get a Mex kill. Maybe. If he sticks around, yeah, he can. That's going to be 1 dead T2 Mex for sure. PD also goes up. Look at, there's just bombers flying everywhere. There's like 10 on screen anywhere you look. For example, where are those Janus headed? Well, it looks like they're headed down here to this position where Petric had a beautiful concave going against the strikers, but there is no concave to be had versus Janus. And how many do we have exactly? 16. And also, well, a lot of out of fuel inties. So 17 Janus now. It's all about the Janus. We also have Riptides though, coming across the water through the middle, doing some raids. They're going to be very annoying actually. There are some spread out mexes, and beautiful thing about spread out mexes is, although you can only kill, you know, 1 mex in 1 position, it can take a long time to get that 1 mex back because there won't be factories in the area. They tend to be more vulnerable than a base, so the Riptides could be quite annoying and do some good damage. Anti-air going up, anti-air going down to UEF bombers with their huge damage output. And all these, yeah, there's so many factories that Petric has invested in that are now dead or have ultimately not been in a good position in terms of how the terrain looks. A lot of factories here, for example, and all the units have to run up through this choke point, and really all they can hit is these this 3 mex expansion. So it's just such a huge investment in T1 land factories that doesn't look to be worth it. Here comes Corsairs from Petric. And will any of them get to shoot anything? 2 of them get a shot. And all 4 of them go down, and no damage was done there. Those 4 Corsairs, Intis coming in, are dead. Look at this group of Janus here. That is so scary. That can destroy anything on the map, and there are no Intis to kill it. I mean, how many Intis do you need to take those out? Like, like if there's 20 Janus, I don't know how many Intis you need actually, because they are formidable anti-air units as well as being napalm bombers. Well, that's scorched earth. All the factories are down. I don't know what these Riptides are doing, although one of them has a lot of veterancy. And that's 1 base down. And there's still some NGs, so if he doesn't kill the rest of the stuff here... No, he's killing the rest of the stuff here, by the looks of it. Sky Slammers doing what they can, which is not very much. Oh, 4 T2 mexes here in this expansion. This is a very exposed position when there's 20 Janus flying around. Everything here must burn. And yeah, it took about 1 pass there for everything to die. There's 1 factory left. All the engineers are dead. He should stick around and kill the factory, in my opinion. But that's fantastic damage. Wow. And the roving band of 21 Janus moves on. Apologies for the short break there. Let's get back into it. Another expansion goes down for Petric, the Janus carry on. And there's nothing that can stop them. Well, here comes an attempt at taking these out. That is a lot of intis from Petric. Let's see how this fight goes, as the Janus are still bombing, which means they're not going to be shooting at the air units, that's for sure. And looks like a lot of Janus are going down, but there's still so many of them, and now they turn around and begin returning fire, and the intis are utterly shredded. And and now what? How long is it going to take to rebuild that many intis? I mean, my god. I don't think he had even twice as many intis compared to Janus. And Janus are way more expensive, so having twice as many intis is, I mean, the minimum you want when if you're gonna take that fight. But that, yeah, Petric wasn't even close to that, and he's gonna regret taking the fight at that moment. That was too early. You have to have a lot of patience. Now he's making T2 on his commander, and he's getting like 24 engineers to assist him to T2, which is a lot. T2 mechs going down now. The Janus are without any real challenger at this point. There's more intis building, but again, I mean, he's almost at an equal number of Janus to intis. So that's not where you need to be. Now the Janus come in and drop on the flak. They aim for the flak and take it out. How to kill your frame rate, by the way. Do that. Pro tip. Sure, everyone needs that. And Petric, okay, that's why he's assisted his commander so heavily. He's going T3, and he's just got bombed. T2 and PGen goes down. Will this one go down? Oh my god, 2 T2 PGens go down at the same time. Third one almost dead. There's flak, and there's all kinds of stuff, but now Petric under attack once again. Has to move out of this. He has to, but he doesn't. and he does actually survive. He's under 2000 HP, begins building a Burstmaster, gets under a shield instead, decides, okay, I need to protect myself here. The shield is not upgrading though, and the Janus actually are dying eventually. Petric takes some more damage. His whatever's in his factory is burning repeatedly, and we got, oh my, okay, so we got a huge amount of damage there. 3,500 mass killed on that guy. This one's fresh. This one has 1,000 mass killed. So the static flak is a real hero. T1 bombers coming in. If we look at the rest of the map, I mean, Petric had lost this position. Actually, the factory did get killed in the end. This is dead. And yeah, Petric just losing a lot of different positions. This position. He does have this now, though. There's so much anti-air in the base that I don't think it's effective to go for the main base anymore for Espiranto. He should really focus on, well, what he's doing basically, which is, you know, cleaning this stuff up, attacking the outside of the map. There's Sky Slammers everywhere from Petric, but those are just not really effective enough. Interesting transport here. Transport with 178 mass killed. That's very interesting. Also, it's taken no damage. Excuse me? Transports, T2 transports do have some. It does have a weapon, obviously, otherwise it couldn't do any damage, but it's not a strong weapon, so that's. What happened here? What happened? I don't know. Petric, meanwhile, is in a transport heading across the map, and he has T3 on this comp. We've seen that already. He is rather low on HP, but is regenning. T2 and T3 do give you some additional regen and HP. And he's trying to, yeah, he doesn't want to go straight down the middle, but let's see. It looks like he is going to reach the base with no trouble. And he's trying to get, he wants to get as close as possible to where the action is. Oh, the flak starts shooting at him. He wants to get under the shield. Begin building. PD's going up. And PD's also going up from Espiranto. Maybe a T2 PD back here if possible would be great. Petric attacking. Oh, there's a second shield actually. So he needs to break through the second shield. He's under one shield, but he's not under the second. Now trying to build his own shield to protect himself. And the Janus are arriving back already. 3 Janus drop on him. And he wants to get a Sam up to deal with those. But look, the shield. It's already broken through. It's only 4,000 HP on that thing. And his shield goes down. The Sam is up. But there's going to be so many bombers on him. And he just is not going to survive here. 2,000 HP. 500. And he goes down. Just too many bombers for Petric to deal with. He could not survive for any length of time there. Even if he had full HP, I think. Well, if he had full HP, he would have been in a lot better position, but still seems very, very unlikely. Also, the second shield protecting the first one was actually huge because otherwise Petric could have built under this one, killed the shield, and then it would have been a lot easier. He could have killed a lot of engineers and things, and then, you know, maybe, well, but ultimately it came down to the bombers. Just too many of them. The Janus win this game, hands down. Also, the terrain really messed with the plans of Petric especially. Probably he must have misread the terrain somewhat, which, you know, can happen, but well played Espiranto. He was at a deficit, and the Janus were magnificent. Now let's that makes it 2-2, which means we get a deciding game. So let's just get that map open very quickly. We're going to the Bermuda Locket. This is the FMAF version, which basically means it's mirrored correctly. GPG maps did not have perfect mirroring. That was not a feature of their map editor, I believe. So they kind of did it by hand, and in that case, you know, the reclaim wasn't always perfectly symmetrical. Or rather, it was never perfectly symmetrical. And sometimes that's a big enough deal to merit some alterations. But yeah, so the Bermuda Locket classic 1 versus 1 map. It is, you know, can hold up to 8 players, but it has a long history as a 1v1 map. So let's see. Well, obviously Petric gonna have plenty of experience here against many of the best players in FAF history. Espiranto, I'm not sure how much experience he has on this map compared to Petric, surely less. So it seems like a good final map for Petric compared to what it could be for Espiranto. Let's see. We got UEF once again for Espiranto and Cybern once again for Petric. First land, second air. Very unsurprising. It is possible to go third air on this map, but very rare. And in the case of, you know, second land, you really want to be, you know, labbing your opponent to try and deny their drops, and then also just focusing on getting a lot of reclaim and scaling more quickly in your main base and perhaps into navy, and delaying your drops to the sides basically. But yeah, not a common approach. We're going to see second air from both of these guys, and the question will be, do we see straight transport? That may be the approach for Petric. I think, yeah, he goes straight for a transport. Doesn't even wait for a scout. Doesn't want any chance that the transport gets caught. So he goes straight for a transport. He has messed up the build here a little bit, and is going to reclaim some rocks with his ACU, using the extra, you know, build range of the commander there to get the reclaim as fast as possible. Corrects the slight mistake here he made, and gets the transport finished in short order. You can see he also delays the mass extractors quite heavily because he has a lot of reclaim. If we look at how much is on the map right now, it's 64,000. And a lot of it is actually in larger rocks, so it's slightly easier, slightly faster to grab. Transport begins to leave towards the right hand side, and Espiranto is only making his transport now. So quite a lot later, his scout and Inti are moving across the map, but transport is long gone. So nice build from Petric, but you can see Espiranto will have more mass. He's probably storing a lot of the extra mass he has. He is, so it's not quite so extra. It's not quite so important. If you have 600 extra mass and it's sitting in your bank, it's not a massive advantage really. And he's also delaying mexes for an extremely long time, which does not seem necessary, to be honest. Petric now gets his base going in the right hand side, and also in the top portion of the right hand side as well. Gonna be throwing down a lot of factories and then working on getting the mass extractors and the reclaim. And we'll also see navy. Naval factory begins with this one. Espiranto actually already has a frigate under construction, so about 30 seconds ahead of his opponent there in terms of navy. Shouldn't lead to a naval loss for Petric by any means, but he will have to correct that issue at some point, but it's a small difference between the two. We also don't see any upgraded mexes. We don't see really enough power production at the moment. Bet you're gonna have to catch up, but does have quite a nice balance. He's now dropping to other positions on the map. He's actually forgotten a mex here. But yeah, dropping to the left side. He's gonna basically try and close this up at this point with the PD and get some of his own production there, rather than allowing Espiranto to push with T1 tanks all the way down to this area where Petric will have to block with the ACU. So nipping this in the bud, or really just getting a more forward position that he can control quite easily. He is slightly idle with the NGs. By slightly, I mean completely idle with the NGs. Espiranto idle with his transport, it will go down, and there's also a bomber coming in from Petric towards the left. Can do some damage, slow down the reclaiming, slow down the base building, slow down the spam. Okay, the NGs finally wake up. Petric is busy elsewhere. I think, yeah, still struggling a little bit for power. You need like probably 10 engineers at some point building T1 P-gens. And then, yeah, T2 land is the approach for Petric. Not going for T2 air, going for T2 land. Gonna get his T2 P-gen up in this position. He's got a lot of build power here to do that. And then, well, we carry on and see how quickly he can scale into the future. But already he's in a good position. He's behind on power, but certainly ahead on mass, ahead on expansion. And yeah, he's slightly, ever so slightly behind on naval production, but a slight difference is not going to be too relevant here. Petric just has a better opening overall than Espiranto here, and I think it is down to the build, where Espiranto, you know, he invests in an Inti and a scout, and it's really not fast enough to catch a transport, and Petric just goes straight transport first, 20 by 20, and shows the power of that build that you know, used to be the most common build for almost any 20 by 20, which is just second air, build a transport straight away, and showing that it hasn't really gotten worse, unless there's some very, very gimmicky build with, you know, first air and an extremely fast Inti, I think. But even in that case, you sacrifice so much to do that. You don't have to be too afraid of it. A lot of things paused here. I'm not sure what that's about. Probably just pausing everything to get the T2P gen, if I had to guess. Yeah, look at that. That's the power of pausing right there. Very limited stall, and once the P-gen is up, he'll build more pretty much straight away, and everything can be unpaused, and mexes can start being upgraded as well. I'm sure we'll see some ecoing happen. And yeah, Petric in a good position here. Just a solid position. You can see he has this here. He's getting production going. He has a PD. Going to get the mexes. Going to get the reclaim around those mexes as well. And on the other side, Esperanto's not getting to here anytime soon. Unless he really, well, he does have decent production, but not as much as Petric does. And he doesn't have T2 land. And it's going to be very risky for Espiranto to invest time in moving his commander forward. So it seems unlikely the commander is really the only thing that could get Espiranto up to here, but if he does do that, he leaves himself quite exposed. So I don't think he's gonna take that approach, if I had to guess. The Wagners are coming, and yeah, they can run across to the left side, do some raiding. They can run around, or they can run straight through the middle, where there's unlikely to be more than really this one sub, if I had to guess. There won't be too many submarines. Espiranto has stopped on 5 naval factories. 2 of them are idle, however, so that's not Great. Petric lost his naval construction engineers to a frigate. He'll have to replace those, and he is on his way to do that. T2 air on the way for Petric, and T2 air already completed for Esperanto. T2 Pigeon, second one on the way, and that's a T2 transport. T2 transports really, well, for the UEF, they really, you know, fold up nicely. They're like some kind of IKEA T2 transport. Yeah, you see that? It's pretty cool. And he's going to try and make some drops happen. Doesn't really believe in his... Well, if he had some T2 land already or something, I think he could get through this pretty handily with Lobos and stuff. But instead, he's like, well, I don't need to break through that position in a tiny choke point, which is, you know, the most difficult place to break through. Instead, he can just pick up a ton of Lobos and drop them into the back of the base somewhere. Now, in the main base, there are no T2 Pigeons. So that's going to be... This is going to be the beautiful position to drop into. Does Esperanto know what's here, though? He doesn't. Poor scouting from Esperanto means he knows that there's stuff upgraded here. He doesn't know that all the power is here. He also has not scouted the main base. So this is... Oh, look. Scouts from Petric. Look at this. He's actually scouting parts of the outside of the map to look for transports. So that's what these two scouts are doing. This scout also is doing something similar, I guess. And... Is he going to see this? Oh, what a scout. I love this. This is really the only way to scout the outside of the map, is to have... It's the only way to catch these transports is with air scouts on the outside of the map. Petric has one on either side, and he's gonna attack this transport. He only has 3 inties, but that should be enough. The transport's not gonna get away from him, I assume. It shouldn't. That's not how the speed of these things work. Bit of micro, and this may yet land. Nice micro from Espiranto, and he's gonna drop into the main base. Now, as we said, the main base is not really the best target for these Lobos, but it's still a lot better than nothing. And there are multiple T2 mexes that can be killed here. I think we're going to see all those mexes go down. That's an air scout that just got shot out of the sky by a Lobo shell. And it's actually Pigeons going down, but those Pigeons, if they go down too close to the Lobos, they will kill the Lobos next to them. There's a big naval battle going on that it looks like Petric is dominating, to be honest. And actually the Lobos are attacking power, not mexes, which is... I think he expected to find T2 Pigeons here, but they're not here. So killing T1 power, really not too effective. I mean, look. Yes, Petric needs another Pigeon perhaps at this stage, but overall that is not that effective. T2 Navy is finished for Esperanto, and Petric is the one pushing on this side. Now he does only have, well, he has some T2 land here. He also has plenty of Medusa, and yeah, there's really not much to defend here. Some Riptides coming out of this HQ here, but yeah, we'll see. It looks a bit, it's quite even on the left hand side, quite even on the right hand side, but overall still Petric growing his lead. A lot of economy now, and yeah, he goes quickly for another Pigeon. Goes to build it quickly. A lot of mass storages, a lot of upgraded mexes. TMD is critical in this position, and also in this position if you do upgrade mexes, as you can make TMLs on either side here and hit the mass extractors in the far position. Let me just show you. This is a classic move on Bermuda to TML across the water. And even from here, you have to be careful with the naval HQ as well, because as you can see from here, you can hit all the naval production. So again, the naval production also has to be protected. And would you look at that, there's a TMD for Petric. before he even completes the T2 naval factory. So Petric on point here in this deciding game. Everything is taken care of before it becomes a problem. More air production coming with the advent of a 4th T2P gen, 5th one, and air is where he may be lacking, and that's where he's going to make his next investment now that he has T2 Navy up, get a lot of production going there. He's going to try to make sure that air does not become too big of a problem. At the moment, there's only, you know, 4 Janus, there's some T1 bombers around. It's only 31 inties, so you can catch up to that without too much difficulty, especially if you have the eco lead. T3 mechs from Espiranto is a bit unusual. Maybe, I mean, how did he have just that much mass available to invest in that? Was he banking a lot of mass? I don't think he got a lot of reclaim anywhere. So, a bit unusual that he goes for T3 mechs instead of, you know, continuing to upgrade other ones to T2. But, I don't hate it. The Navy does not look good. Petric with a huge number of frigates, and he does have the better frigate. He has Cybran frigates, and he's got 40 of them. He's also got 1 destroyer. At this point, 17 frigates, 1 destroyer. Petric with double the Navy. And yeah, huge amount of assistance now into air to make sure that he can win air back. And he also has a lot of anti-air around, well, mostly in terms of mobile flak. Engineers being dropped forward for reclaiming. Bit ambitious. And also there's not a huge amount of reclaim there at the moment. Maybe he's anticipating that, well, he's going to make a lot of reclaim now very soon by engaging in a big fight. Engineers drop. And actually the destroyer anti-air actually has a long range there. Low damage, but quite a long range. That's interesting. Okay, we have a huge number of scouts pouring out of this factory. And I'm wondering where they're going. Is he looking for... He's looking for... transports. Looking for drops. Actually, there was a drop here. At the back. Looks like maybe Flak and Wagner's. 1 T2 Max was killed, and that's all. ACU seems to have taken care of it, and some Lobos and things. Or maybe the Janus took care of it. Where are the Janus going right now? Okay, finally they drop on this army. And Petric looks kind of ready to... He's almost ready to move in here. Very compact group of frigates. And the 2 destroyers... They are really good, those UAF destroyers versus frigates, but if you just get overrun and surrounded, they are terrible, and it's... The destroyers have to be able to maintain the range advantage to get their value, and when you're outnumbered so heavily, it seems very difficult to do that. We can see 2 Salems over there on the right. And a big airfight that Petric is winning over his own flak, so that definitely helps you out. Big time. And yeah, Espiranto loses air. He has T3 air now, trying to get a T3 P-Gen up. Well, he's getting a T3 NG out first. And he's going to try and get a T3 P-Gen. This additional naval production on the left side is actually the first target. So yeah, why go all in the front when first you can go over here, kill this extra production, and then afterwards turn around and take the main fight that you're eventually going to take. But at the moment there's no need to take that. Espiranto's the one who actually starts moving out, given most of the T2 ships actually left now. So he thinks he can perhaps get a good fight here, but it doesn't look likely, to be honest. He's trying to build a lot more naval production, but he will get some good damage with the destroyers. But if his army gets thinned out too much, which it looks like it's happening. I mean, yeah, these T2 naval ships have already arrived back at this point, and he has to go into full retreat here to save any of these ships. And now he may have just invited the full-scale onslaught into his base. There's no way this production that he just completed is really going to last. He has to retreat. He has 3 destroyers still, which is nice, but there's just too many frigates here. Oh, this 220 HP destroyer. Oh, it does get caught, just barely. That's a very nice kill, but now torpedo bombers. Okay, a very good fight for Espiranto there. Getting a nice kill on that army, and leaving a lot of reclaim. Doesn't actually have anti-air though, and this is entirely Lobos. 2 Mongoose, a shield, and Lobos. That's all. So an army's not really gonna last, and if Navy is lost, then destroyers will secure this entire area. Here the torpedo bombers coming in, trying to snipe some Salems. And yeah, Petric may, well, he's just got a lot of production in the Navy. It doesn't look like there's well, Espiranto actually lost a couple of T2 mexes here to Wagner's. Finally the Wagner's go down, and Petric's just gonna keep his air over this Navy, try to protect it as much as possible, deny basically any second passes from coming in from the torp bombers. The Salems are being targeted down. They are the targets of choice, of course, for the torpedo bombers. There's no cruisers in here, so maybe a cruiser will be good, but actually, you know, I think we're really seeing the power of some of these destroyers against the frigates. Like, the Salems have to retreat to try and stay away from the torpedo bombers, and the destroyers really do chew up the Cybern frigates quite well. You can see there's very few of them left. Problem is they're going to be replaced. Oh, still have 2 Salems at the 3 Salems at the front still, and almost no frigates left for Espiranto. I think we need, you know, torp defense now. Might help. And Petric actually going all in. Just T3 Pigeon is done, by the way, but Petric just going to send all of his air in here and just maintain control over the top of the air production. Medusas are here, killing some stuff, forcing PDs to be built. And although Espiranto generated a lot of reclaim here, got some good kills, he's not actually getting this reclaim. He can't take control of that area. Salem's now forced to retreat once again, as the Valiant class destroyers are doing extremely well, especially because they're behind their own naval production, which grants them a lot of extra HP. Now this destroyer is being focused down and will die. That's a big loss, and you can see the immediate reaction once it goes down. Oh, that's another drop, and well, it's another drop, and whatever was dropped is dead already. Corsairs killing the right side expansion of the main base. There goes T2 mexes. T2 factory under attack as well. Corsairs going after T2 Pigeon now. It survives on 45 HP, just as designed. Now that the Salems aren't being torpedoed anymore, they're actually able to focus down the Valiant class using their superior range and also superior numbers at this point. So it looks like ultimately, I mean, well, what are you going to do now? I mean, there's Corsairs killing the T3 Pigeon now. If that goes down, surely there's no way back for Espiranto. Just being choked out step by step. Shield is actually targeted there, as it was almost about to go back up, and the T3 Pigeon goes down. Only 3 T2 Pigeons left. And total air control. Where's the anti-air? I mean, there is one SAM. Actually, there's a Actually, there is an air cleaner. Maybe that should have gone up sooner. Navy utterly lost now. 5 Salems. 1 Valiant class remaining. Torpedo bombers doing their work. Gunships. T-1 bombers. Salem also killing economy on this side. Killing tech factories. And there's no... Well, where is this NG going? Esperanto's calm moves into the water as he's under attack from Corsairs. Takes another 2 volleys of missiles to the back of the head just before he dips in. 6,000 HP on that guy. And torpedo bombers may be able to find him and end this one. Navy is completely lost. All frigate production is stopped. T3 mexes are to be found in some of Petric's bases, and the left side is also being totally overrun. Corsairs trying to kill as much as they can. The SAM's getting insane amounts of veterancy. 5,000 mass killed on that SAM. 1,000 already on this SAM that was built very recently. And all that's left is for the commander to be killed, really, because there is nothing to be done in this scenario. Absolutely nothing. Petric sending his air around. I'm not sure what he's looking for. Maybe he's looking for a transport, perhaps. A T2 transport. Needs some scouting to find the commander who's sitting in the water. Also, a cruiser might give him enough intel to see into the next pond. Oh, actually the Salems could walk across the water, across the land and into the other side of the water. Torpedo bombers getting close. If their sonar reaches the commander, he will be spotted and targeted immediately, I have no doubt. Left side is almost completely dead now. The HQ goes down. Last of the buildings and units about to go down as well. And the commander is still not found. Okay. Torpedo bombers. Well, that's a telltale sign. That's definitely him. Actually, this T2 NG who was on some kind of crazy mission is finally under attack, but actually he survives. Because the torpedo bombers come back to attack. The commander isn't really trying to hide very hard. He just walked into the water. And there he goes. Petric wins in the quarterfinal 3-2. He had taken a 2-0 lead. Esperanto pulled it back to 2-all. With impressive wins, and yeah, then Petric gave us a bit of a clinic on this map. Just a transport rush into very solid expansion, into a quick T2 PJ, and he was just had a better opening and very, very solid play. Didn't allow Esperanto really to get any advantages for any length of time. And yeah, maybe Esperanto, his scouting was lacking. He got a low bow drop. He could have, maybe if he had gotten some drops away in this position, he could have closed the gap to Petric. But Petric just really squeezed and squeezed until he got to, the position 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, where his lead continues growing, and Esperanto is left with less and less chances until there is no chance for a win for him. So well played to Petric and Espiranto in this series. It was quite a nice one, and thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the following playoff matches. So see you next time, guys.